Hi guys, how are you? I hope you're all fine. Today I will explain to you the tenses of the grammar of Unit 1. I know that you have studied this before, the present simple and the present continuous, but it will be like a revision and I wanna check if you still remember. Let's start with the first exercise to know if you remember the usages of these tenses or not. Look here, that's our first exercise. What we're gonna do, read the sentences below, match each sentence with one use of the present simple. So, you have to read the sentences from 1 to 4 and hear from A to D. Water boils at 100. His parents work at a bank. We have a dance class next week. The English drink a lot of tea. Here, habits and repeated actions, permanent situations, scientific facts, future actions based on timetables and schedules. So let's go back to number 1. Water boils at 100. What do you think? What do you think the usage from A to D is is related to number 1? Hmm. That's a scientific fact. Let's see. Yes. His parents work at a bank. What's this? Is that a habit or that's a permanent situation? What do you think? Hmm. That's a permanent situation. Let's see here. Yes. We have a dance class next week. It's very clear that that's future actions based on timetables and schedules. The last one, the English drink a lot of tea. That's a habit. So those are the usages of the present simple. Exercise B, that's related to the present continuous. We're going to follow the same steps that you have to read the sentences from 1 to 5 and then from A to E. You're always interrupting me. What are you doing at the weekend? I'm saving up for a car. The baby's crying, it must be hungry. Families are becoming smaller and smaller these days. Here, actions happening now, temporary situations, future plans, annoying habits, changing and developing situations in the present. Number 1. You're always interrupting me. What's this? And how do we have always here if you can remember that? You're always interrupting me because that's an annoying habit. So how do we have the word habit and that's present continuous, not the present simple? Because with the annoying habits, we're gonna use the present continuous. Okay? What are you doing at the weekend? What do you think? What are you doing at the weekend? That's future plans. We're asking about the future plans. I'm saving up for a car. I'm gonna keep all my life saving up for a car? No, that's a temporary situation. The baby's crying. It must be hungry. Sure, that's actions that are happening now. Families are becoming smaller and smaller, changing and developing situations in the present. So now also we know the usages of the present continuous. And from these two exercises, exercise A and B, I guess that you have elicited the form of the present simple and present continuous. Let's check. Here, if you can remember that we always used with the pronouns I, we, you, and they, the affirmative, the infinitive form of the verb. Like here, to play. But with the pronouns he, she, and it, we add something to the verb. If you can remember, that was S-E-S or I-E-S. That's the negative, the question part, and the short answers. It's so easy. Can you check it later? Here, the form of the present continuous. It's so easy. Also, if you can remember, that was am, is, and are, plus the verb, plus ing. That's so easy. There's something also that I want you to remember. The adverbs of frequency. We use the adverbs of frequency to say how often something happens. They come before the main verb but after the verb be. And that was mostly used with the present simple. We have always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, hardly, ever, seldom, and never. And as you can see, this arrow comes from the most often to the least often. Is that clear? I hope that you now can remember the tenses, their forms, and the usages of them. It's so easy. Now, let's go back to exercise C. Read the sentences below and underline the verbs. Here, number 1. Peter hates his new school. Hates. He understands the problem now. Understands. These these flowers smell wonderful. Smell. Who owns the blue car outside? Owns. As you can see here, if you can notice, the four verbs are in the present simple. Why they are all in the present simple? Why we couldn't use them in the present continuous, for example? That's because of something that we call it here the stative verbs. I know that you know it before, but let's revise it. The stative verbs. The stative verbs are not usually used in the continuous tenses. They are called stative because they describe states and not actions. To talk about the present, we use these verbs in the present simple tense. So again, what are the stative verbs? The stative verbs are the verbs that we use it to describe states and not action. And because of this, they are mostly used in the simple tense, not the continuous tense. Let's see the stative verbs. By the way, you have to memorize these verbs. Verbs of emotion, verbs of senses, verbs which express a state of mind like believe, doubt, forget, remember, and verbs of possession like belong to, have, own. This means that we cannot use these verbs in the present continuous? No, sometimes we can. But take care that once you use them in the present continuous, they are gonna have totally different meaning from their meaning when you use them in the present simple. And not all of them. Some of them could be used both in the present simple and in the present continuous. And how could I know this? If you're going to ask, one of you is going to ask me, how can I know this? You have also to memorize this. Let's check some, and you're going to study the rest. If we look, for example, here at this example, like for example here, think. I think you're mad. Think here equal have an opinion, like believe. I believe you're mad. Look at number 2. Jenny is thinking of going to France. Here means think that she's considering that she wants to travel. She wants to go to France. Clear? Another example. These flowers smell wonderful. Here means that the flowers have a particular smell. Why are you smelling the milk? That's an action of smelling. I'm smelling the milk right now. Is that clear? I hope that it's clear enough to you. Now let's go back to the exercises. Exercise D. Complete the rule with the present simple or present continuous, with the word the present simple or the word present continuous. We don't use some verbs in continuous tenses. They are called stative because they describe states and not actions. To talk about the present, we use these verbs in the simple. Exercise E. Some verbs can be both stative and action verbs. As I told you, that some of these verbs could be used both in the present continuous and the present simple, but with a different meaning. How does the meaning of think here in these two sentences? It change in the sentences below. They think that having a lot of children is fantastic. Huh? I gave you example about think. Here think means what? Is it believe or consider? Believe, to have an opinion. They are thinking of moving house this year. Here, consider. It means consider. Let's move to the next exercise. Choose the correct answer. Quiet, William. Why so noisy this morning? Why are you being so noisy? Or are you being so noisy this morning? Huh? Let's see. B. Who is that? I, her name. I'm not remembering or I don't remember. Can you remember that remember of one is one of the stative verbs? So don't remember. Erin with her cousin for a few weeks. Lives or is living? We're going to check this all after we finish. Granddad isn't feeling well. He, the doctor later today. Today. Seeing Tony, his grandfather, is looking like or looks like? Looks like. Mom and Dad always us with them on holidays. Always, huh? Take us. Bob and Sue to their Aunt Mice's house every weekend. Every weekend. Why children are jealous of each other? Why do you think or why are you thinking? Huh? What do you think the meaning of think here? Is it believe or consider? Why do you think? Let's check our answer. They are all right. Excellent, guys. Let's move to the next exercise. Exercise G. Complete the text with the correct present simple or present continuous form of the verbs in brackets. I'm going to read the passage all and then we're going to start answering the passage. I think that identical twins means that they are totally the same, are fascinating, they are wonderful. They have the same DNA, but they have got different fingerprints and they often have different personalities too. The personalities here means characteristics like it could be like, for example, if we look here at these two girls, they are identical twins, but maybe they have different characteristics. She is so, for example, quiet, but this one is so nervous, so angry. My sisters Kathy and Sandy, identical twins, and my parents and I know which twin is which most of the time. In fact, they always play tricks on us, which is not funny. They wear different clothes every morning so we know who is who, but then they sometimes change clothes later just to confuse us. There is only one thing that helps us tell who is who. Kathy spends a lot of her free time reading books, but Sandy hates reading. She often complains about it, saying Kathy reading it. Now let's answer number 1. I think. Think here. You're going to use it in the present simple or the present continuous. Do you feel that it's a believe or consider? Sure, believe. So I think they have the same DNA. What do you think? Is that present simple or continuous? Is that permanent or temporary action? Sure, permanent. Have. But they have got different fingerprints. Here, my sisters Kat and Sandy, be identical twins. Are excellent. And my parents and I not know which twin is which. present simple or continuous? Don't know. Excellent. In fact, they always play. That's so easy because we have always here. Huh. They always play. Huh? Is that easy? Can you remember when I told you that when we have annoying habit, and here it's annoying for her. So we're not going to use the present simple, we're going to use the present continuous. They are always playing tricks on us, which is not funny. They wear different clothes every morning. Every morning. So it's a present simple. So we know who is who, but then they sometimes it change. There's only one thing that helps us tell who is who. Kathy, a lot of her free time reading books. That's a habit, so spends. But Sandy hates reading. Hates because that's also a repeated action. That's a habit. She often complains about it, saying Kathy is reading again. We have finished our lesson for today. I hope that it was easy. As I told you, that was just a revision. I'm waiting for your questions and I'm going to try to answer it as soon as possible.